and welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Alex G, and with me this evening we have IWAR Commissioner, BOR Commissioner, NWL Commissioner, Matt Riley, and we have IWL contributor, Luke Martin. What's going on tonight, gentlemen?
Everything. Everything's
Every
going on tonight. It's all
okay.
come up.
It's big news tonight.
The show that breaks all the rules.
That's right.
Yep.
Today's episode will be the March 2021 cycle in review. But first, big news. So, Matt, you want to share with us the big news?
Well, that's right. The big news is going forward, the IWAR network will be the BRL, the IWL, and the NWL. This is an effort to put out a better product. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes I don't want to get into. The overall big message here is that we're going to have a lot more things. I used to always say that, if I was just in one or two leagues or I was only doing this, I'd be able to do a lot more to, have fun in the game. And that's what we're going to do. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Some people have asked questions. So some of the questions we got were like, okay, I'm in the Johnny B Cup. I'm in the Murano Memorial Tag Team Tournament. Does this affect me? No. If you're in it, you're in it. As long as you're active within the BBL, CWL, or the other IWAR leagues. Effective this cycle, I'll be stepping down as the BBL commissioner. I was kind of filling in. And the CWL also will be, Larry and myself will be stepping down there. Larry and I will be co-commissioning the BRL. So we'll be handling that side. Alex and Luke and Jeremy will be running the IWL. I'll be running the NWL along with Aaron and Kevin until they promote and graduate out. I'm not going to go into the whole, this happened, that happened. It wasn't one thing. I will give you a little bit of behind the scenes is that about a week or two ago, I guess now, Alex and I were talking, and I kind of mentioned how I had this idea of a deadline in mind. If we can get someone to step in by blank, then, this, and if not, it'll be that. And if it is that, then I'm going to do this and this. And Alex kind of got quiet and just said, why wait? And we started talking about it and fleshing it out. And the more we talked about it, the more sense it made. And I think, the IWAR has been as big as 8 leagues. It's going down to 3. And I've always been a believer in quality over quantity. We see it all the time in reports that are, massive. And my own reports, we try to keep it simple or cut things back and do things to make it work. We are always constantly looking to improve the game. And one of the things that happens a lot is the fun little side things people really enjoy get lost in the translation. They get lost in the workload. And now what's going to happen is we're going to have more time to do those fun things, which is going to be great. We have a few things that are changing as far as procedural. So, for example, the CWL is going to run the Lord of the Ring tournament. That's going to become an IWAR event between the BRL, IWL, and NWL. I still have the ring I bought for it, so the prize is still there. The Lethal Lottery, somebody asked about that. That's still going to go on, but that'll be made up of wrestlers from the going forward IWL, BRL, NWL trio. The women's wrestlers will similarly be IWL, BRL, NWL. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to have title matches that are triple threats. So there won't be that process of only one of the 4 regional commissioner champions getting a shot. It's going to be both commissioner champions, top champions, if you will, IWL World Heavyweight and the BRL Global challenging the IWAR World Champion in a triple threat match. Same for the tag, same for the 6-man. The Revolution champion will be challenging the BRL North American, and I believe it will be the Pan Am. Alex,
That's correct.
The second tier belt. Mm-hmm. So we're going to create a 3rd tier belt that's going to be like a junior heavyweight / cruiserweight. We're still to be named. We're hammering out the details on that. But the idea is that it makes it simpler and easier to follow. One of the things we have happen all the time is players will say, what about this, what about that? So we're trying to make it so that it's so easy, you read it and just boom, you're right into it. And, when Alex and I talked about it, then we said, let's get Larry on the phone, talk to Larry on the call or out of Skype. And, the more we talked it over, the more it made sense to do this. And we're not doing this to punish the BBL or CWL or all that. It's just in this game that we all play and we pay to play. and the commissioners, we put in our own time in this. If you give me a choice between doing a so-so product or doing a product I'm really proud of, I'll take the proud product every day. And instead of trying to carry a lot more than I should, I'm just going to step back and focus on the BRL, the NWL, and Alex and the guys will be working on the IWL. So I think overall, there's just a lot going on. We're going to have subtle changes coming up. We're going to have more changes coming a long time. We'll discuss them, but I think Alex is on board with this, so I'll let him talk about his side of it. Under the bus.
Well, to me, workload is always the key, right? So when we're looking at workload, and I'm looking at Matt's particular workload, and it was a lot. And to me, is like my concern there was like this motherfucker's going to burn himself out. How can we prevent this? So I suggested contraction. Let's move on from this because we have other things, other flames in the fire. And for Matt to try to keep these leagues on life support while we find another commissioner, it's not doing him any justice. Being someone who has commissioned multiple leagues at the same time, it's not fun. I don't recommend it for anyone. Not from the creative aspect of it, it's more from like, a workload aspect of it. And, fatigue makes cowards out of us all. That's what it comes down to. And you're tired. And it's like all of a sudden your report suffers and you're doing multiple reports and multiple reports suffer. You're not doing, the wrestlers and the managers in your leagues any justice. It's not fair to them. So the way I always look at the game is like, how can I make it simpler? How can I make it easier? How can I reduce my workload? So I can just focus on not just the nuts and bolts of the game, but the creative aspect is what I enjoy the most. So in having that conversation with Matt, the decision was made to contract. I feel it's the right choice. It's not even the right choice. I think it's the only choice that we have now. I do feel a certain particular way about. I feel bad for the players that are in those leagues that were recently drafted over there, and then we're going to offer free transfers to anyone that wants to come over from the CWL and BBL. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. We're not making anyone come over, but if you're interested in moving on to either the BRL or the IWL, we'll welcome you with open arms and go from there. But I think in the overall product, we want to put out the best possible product, and for all of you. I think that's what it comes down to. So, lots of fun stuff coming down the pike. I did not want this to be a distraction. It was another reason for us moving so swiftly with this, because we have big plans going into the third and fourth quarter of this year anyway, and I don't want this to be a big distraction from what we're doing there. We do have a draft coming up, in the fall. We have big events, through the summer and into the fall, so I don't want that to take away from what we're doing already. So that being said, if you guys have any questions, please reach out. You can write it here in the comments section. You can message us. You can ask on Facebook. I think the most prevalent questions is what are we going to do with those commissioner championships that are currently residing in those leagues. And, there's been, discussions about what we're going to do with that. I think we have it just about finalized, but I don't think we're prepared to announce those as of yet. But I think we do have, I think we came to that consensus with those and what we're going to do there. And that could be some fun. I think some people will enjoy what we have in mind there. In terms of people wanting to step up and take these leagues head on, feel free. If you want to be commissioner of the CWL or the BBL, we'll give you a big thumbs up. Obviously, you're not going to be in the IWAR, but we'll still keep tabs on what you're doing and looking for you guys. Whoever wants to step up to do a great job and kind of carry on those leagues' legacy overall. To me, Derek did a fantastic job with the BBL, taking it from what it was to what it is now. It's a shame that, I wouldn't want that work to go to waste at this point. So, whoever takes over the BBL, you have big shoes to fill, and I wish you luck.
I will say this, I can break news that the IWA has just announced that Rob Lawson, manager of War Pig, the most recent standout BBL champion, racking up all those titles, will be taking over as commissioner there. The CWL is up in the air, and One thing I like to say is I've heard some people say like, "Oh, don't you mind if like you leave a league and someone takes it over?" And to me, it's like we sold one of our family houses last year. My grandparents built it in 1947, right? I did a lot of my early shows in the workshop from there. I was there for 10 years as living there. But we sold the house, and the way I look at it is once you move on, it's their house. So whoever takes on the CWL, I hope they'll do well. I do want to mention, Alex mentioned too about the IWAR draft. We were going to move it originally. We talked about putting it in the summer, but after kind of going through the rosters and who might be moving into the BBL, out of the BBL or the CWL into the IWL or BRL, it would be about like 8 wrestlers, 8 players, maybe more. I'd be surprised if it was more, but it could be. Rather than doing a quote unquote half-assed IWAR draft on the rush, we're going to leave it in the fall. We're just going to leave it in the fall, and then we'll do it upright the way we should, and it'll be a chance for the NWL rookies to graduate to get involved, players in the leagues, and and we're going to be obviously a two-team draft. Team IWL, team BRL. We'll get more on that when we get there. I have other things to talk about when it comes to events going on right now. In the summer, we'll get to that later on. So I guess we can just get on with the show. But we wanted to cover that and talk about the big changes. We appreciate everyone who helped us build the IOR up. But when we went from 8 leagues to 4,
Which is also my idea.
It
Soon
was
it's going to be 1, and that's going to be it.
You goddamn bastard. It'll be the QPL. No, it's about putting the best thing we can do forward. And like you said, it's workload. And what's going to be happening over the next few months with what we have in store, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's what we're all about, making these as much fun as possible for as many players as possible. When I get to the BRL section, I'll talk about some of the changes coming to the BRL because we've had a certain way of doing things, and I'm going to change that. So anyways, we wanted to cover that. So that's the story behind that.
Yeah, man. I dig that.
You damn
So
right.
up first, Battle Royal League number 564. League champion winning 10 free matches, which is really hard to do in the BRL. Sabretooth. TV Tag Team Champions, the legendary Frank Leatherman Snow. Nice to see Frank on the title page here.
Yep.
Central Plains Champion Rodney D'Armond. East Coast Champion Nature Boy Tommy Landell. Great Lakes Champion Punk Rock Mike. Mid-Atlantic Champion Lady Kung Fu Candy Kane. Northeast Champion Winnipeg Wookie. Pacific Northwest Champion Hades Royal. Rocky Mountains Champion Dark Phoenix FS. Southeast Champion The Zombie Hunter Matthew Porter. Southwest Champion Barb Dwyer. West Coast Champion Miss Ratchet Wanda Calabrini Green. League Tag Team Champion Sax Gotha and Nature Boy Tommy Landell. TV Tag Team Champions Catfish Leroy and Catfish Chuckies. League 6-Man Champion Sax Gotha, Nature Boy Tommy Landell, and Lady Kung Fu Candy Kane. TV 6-Man Champions, the sharpshooter Jake Scarlett, the talented Max Ripley, and the Russian rocket Alexei Smirnov. And your Battle Royal winner winning $50 in IWA credit, the Zombie Hunter Matthew Porter. So, Matt, what's going down in the BRL?
Well, part of the, I guess we'll talk about the BRL now. So part of the streamlining of the BRL is we've been working to make the pay-per-views more inclusive. And I took a page right out of Alex's IWL and started creating matches where there's multiple people involved in the match, the winner of which goes on to challenge one of the champions. So the BRL's top title is a global championship. Their secondary title will be the North American Championship. And I can break the news here that what we're going to do is at a Magic Bash, it'll be Frank Leatherman Snow versus Patrick O'Malley. And the winner of that match will be the first North American champion. There will also be establishing the Cruiserweight Championship, which will be El Barbero versus Love Burger. And the Cruiserweight Championship will be the belt more for the wrestlers that are on the smaller side or high flyers, dastardly smaller wrestlers. We're going to have an Elimination Chamber, a Fatal 5-Way, a Gauntlet match, a Tag Team Battle Royal, a 6-Man Scramble, and a Triple Threat match. Each of those matches, the winner of which will go on to challenge one of the championships at Autumn Anarchy in the fall. So we're building each show will have a variety of people in these matches, and my goal is to get as many people involved as possible. BRL is like over 30 managers, so there's a lot of people get involved. So you might not be in a title match, but you might be in a title qualification match. So it's always going to be something that you can look to and be like, oh, I'm involved in. And one of the things we talk about last cycle, for example, was a horrible cycle for a lot of people. And I'll get into that tomorrow night when I do my workshop. One of the things about the game that makes it fun is when you have a bad cycle like that, is if you have a match, on a card in a pay-per-view or title shot or a contender match, there's a reason to look in the bulletin to see the results. So the biggest change coming is going to stay in place for now, but the BRL championship process had always been the best of, like, over 3 cycles, the best average over those 3 cycles. And it's been a pretty good system. But here's the problem. It means tracking more numbers, and it's more work for me. And I'm trying to reduce as much work as possible, so I'm spending as little time as I am just droning over numbers that I don't need to. So what I'm going to do is, after Magic Bash, going forward, the title matches will be played out the cycle before we print and do the write-ups. So it's really going to be about, that cycle before, and, really all the line, one big match. What's happened, unfortunately, we had in the past, is some of our matches we've had with, like, for example, the global title. We've had one guy double a hold, and now instead of having a match where it's like, oh, it's going to be exciting to see what happens, it's already over after 1 cycle with 2 cycles to go. So it's like, Whereas this way, if you double a hold in the match where it's the big one, well, you really should have paid more attention. It's less of a frustration. So I want to talk about those title changes. So that'll be coming up. I'll talk more about that in the actual bulletin. We know there's a lot going on in the BRL with more players on the way. I just got word there's like some more players coming, more wrestlers. There's a lot of people that get involved. So really, this is about kind of a reward. So if you do promos and sneak attacks and everything else, you're going to end up on this card. It's very simple. We're doing a storytelling oasis, and you put the work in, we'll reflect it. I hope you'll take part. If you want to look for a league or join the BRL, that's fine. You can contact me. What we're probably going to do, Alex and myself, will just, through conversations with people that are in the BBL or CWL, we'll figure out who wants to go where, what's a better fit. Because what we don't want to do is put you somewhere where you're not going to have fun. If you want to stay in the CWL or BBL, that's your choice as well. If you want to go off to who knows where, that's fine too. It's about having fun. And, hopefully after this all gets going, you're going to really enjoy yourself. I would say this, there's a lot going on between feuds. We have some interesting stuff going on. Luke, do you want to chime in with your particular top choices for promos first?
Yeah, I guess I can do that.
There you go. Or you go first.
Okay. Are you done? Because I think I fell asleep and I don't remember what you said. So I'm just gonna go with what I got.
There you go.
So Tyler Dresden continues to do well. He doesn't say a lot, but Bernardo does. Talks about Tyler's lack gold. So we'll see where that leads. But he has. How long has he been in the league now? Not that long, right? 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So he definitely has some time to prove himself. So that'll be interesting. Suburban Hell Savages, Punk Rock Mike stays unbeaten, so they're still on top of the world. So their stable just keeps getting better. So they got Patrick O'Malley, Mike Sebastian. It's everywhere. But yeah, it's continue to going crazy, and now they got the Thugs for Hire. So evidently the Suburban Hell Savages are just going to take over the BRL. So
there you go.
And then also Mascara Negro, he made that coffin, and unfortunately he was the one that ended up having to use it. So a gold coffin that, if you didn't know, I don't think I need to tell anybody, but yeah. So and then also Lavender Fields evidently thinks I'm angry and also in love with barbed wire. But she has a match with a barbed wire. Is that right? So
yeah, it's coming up. Yep.
yeah, we'll see how that works out for her. But just gonna, man, good luck. Good luck. But yeah, so like those are just the ones that kind of came up for me. But in addition to what everybody was saying about all these big changes, I think um, after this uh, podcast, probably we'll probably spend more time on each league and talk a little bit more in depth now because we only have these three leagues.
Right.
So I think that you'll see a little change in the podcast where we spend more time. So instead of me hitting the highlights, we'll probably talk about the feuds. We'll probably talk about angles and things like that. So I think that that'll be one of the big things too for everybody is we'll spend more time on everybody and not just kind of hit some of the highlights each time. So hopefully everybody will feel like that they're all getting talked about because I can't talk about everybody, but now we can. So if you want to hear about your angle on podcasts, make sure that we know you have an angle and we can read it in the TT.
Right.
Because if we don't, and you're upset that we didn't talk about your big match pay per view, that if I can't to deduce from the TT that you have a big match the pay per view, we're not going to talk about it. So
Right.
make sure that when you write something, it's coherent and it's not like you need to make sure that the person that you're trying to fight actually knows that they're feuding with you. So, but just yeah, but I think everybody the BRL and IWL and NWL all seem pretty good. So I think it'll be the podcast will be even better going forward. So
Right. I will say this, building off the WrestleRama 9 pay-per-view, Sabretooth, who not only won or retained the BRL championship, also won the second Royal Rumble. So Sabretooth going crazy with wins. Holy Family's big monster is still, going wild. And unfortunately, I think Love Burger and Love Connection are trying to pick a few of those guys. So I'm curious to see how Holy Family is going to respond to that. It's also interesting to see that the tag team of the A-List Express, Logan Kane and Hollywood Star, former IWA Tag Champs, IWAR World Tag Champs. Hollywood Star went off to do a movie with playing Jeffrey Epstein, so he's out of the picture. And it was Kane got Adam Cash involved, so now they're teaming up. There's a lot there. We have Punk Rock Mike and the SHS. Really, we talked earlier about how kind of using some questionable tactics for fan favorites. But hey, they're trying to get it done, get the job done. And I will say that Ghostly Shadow's transformation from kind of like the leader of the DoD, the Disciples of Doom, and becoming more of a kind of mythic figure has been fun to watch. So we're going to see Ghostly Shadows challenge Punk Rock Mike at the next pay-per-view. I want to ask if Seth Adams Lee is listening. He's been in the NWL. He was a good active player, same in the BRL, but he did 2 promos last month where he said he was done with the game, and then he said he was recommitted to playing. So we just want to know which one it is. We just want to make sure that if you're playing, contact us. We're happy to help. I always tell people if you got to write to the IWA, you can write to the IWA. There are whole players that do that. I'll write back. Sometimes players respond, other times they just up and vanish. So either way, pick one. I do want to say that the BRL exclusive event, the Best of 7 series, we've run 7 of them. The 8th one this year, we take 2 top promoing stars and put them head to head. So we'll be announcing the competitors soon for that. So hopefully people will be excited about that. But that's the BRL right there, folks. There it is.
Yeah, man, I dig that. Next up, Independent Wrestling League number 136, League Champion, Highlight of the Night, Johnny Vegas. Television Champion, Bulk Brogan. New York City Champion, Demusian Laterra. Los Angeles Champion, Frankie Cicino. Boston Champion, Brutally Honest Abe. Detroit Champion, Bob Bonecutter. Cleveland Champion, Alexander J. Styles. Dallas Champion, Graw. Memphis Champion, Blackjack Robertson. Miami Champion, The Chameleon. San Francisco Champion, Samej Anderson. Chicago Champion, Chase Grace. League Tag Team Champions, Blackjack Robertson and Shotgun James Carnage. TV Tag Team Champions, Christopher Destruction and Kenneth Oblivion. League 6-man champions winning another 5 free matches, Magnificent Marvin Boyer, Pop Culture Peter Cross, and Bill Bonecutter. TV six-man champion Texas, Jesse Tombstone Blackjack Robinson, Shotgun James Carnage, and your Battle Royal winner, winning 46 free IWL matches, Ray Del Mundo. So, Alex G, what's going down in the IWL? Well, guys, we are coming off Soul Survivor. Now, usually I don't talk about the results, but I feel that it's imperative that I talk about who won Soul Survivor this year. The winner of this year's Soul Survivor was Che Guerrero, who is my wrestler. I'm always shocked when I win anything. Just to give you guys a little behind the scenes of how Soul Survivor works is, we get all the competitors, and I believe there's 27 competitors in Soul Survivor this year. And what happens is that I get a uninterested third party. Thank you, Larry, who's currently in the woods or in the desert. Is he woods or desert?
The desert.
He's in the desert right now.
Yep.
The Mojave.
Spring break, kids.
Spring break. So I get an uninterested third party to pick 5 holes plus a tiebreaker. Now, these holes are selected after all strategies are sent. So it's usually Monday morning, Monday afternoon. I think it was Monday afternoon is when I got the holds from Larry. Just so everyone knows everything's above board, which it is.
Yeah.
And Che Guerrero ended up winning Soul Survivor. So I'm happy for myself that I won $27 in IWL credit. This is my second Soul Survivor that I won, so I'm pretty excited about that. And he will go on to face the champion at Wrestle Riot. So that's the only result I'm going to give you. You'll see the rest of them in this cycle's report. Again, if you owe me match write-ups, please get those to me sooner rather than later, because I still have to format them and put them in the report, which takes some time. So please do that. Now, in terms of this cycle's TT, overall, I'm pretty excited about what's going down. Everyone should have read Luther's travels through Africa. That was really awesome. We do have Che Guerrero here on an issue of Weekly World News. Apparently, he's with Debo's children, and they agree that they wish that Che was their daddy, which is true, which is a true story. Again, overall, and when it comes to TT, and Luke will get into it a little bit more in a second, but I do want to go into TT in general when it comes to the IWL in general. And every once in a while, I'll get asked like, "Hey, who should I feud with, and what should I think about doing?" So, in the effort, and since we don't have that many leagues to go through, I'm going to quickly go over some people that maybe you can consider unsolicited advice. I usually don't give unsolicited advice about directions that you should be taking, or maybe people that you can feud with. I think right off the bat we have Nate Moneyman Barnes, who again is a recently drafted wrestler who was just came in, and he's done very well right off the bat, right off the start. And to me, looking at the character of the Money Man, right off the bat, I feel, personally, this is just me, that he should get over the fact that he's in fact the Money Man. Now, if I was writing Nate Barnes, I would do the whole $1 million man shtick. So I would get him in scenarios where he pays people money to embarrass themselves. And in typical IWL fashion, it shouldn't be barking like a dog or trying to dribble a basketball. He should go up to someone like the Teamster and be like, "Hey, Teamster, I'll give you $50 if you punch this old lady in the face." And the Teamster will absolutely 100% do that because he's the Teamster and he'll take that $50. It should be scenarios like that. To me, it should be something like a little bit more akin to, they say that money is the root of all evil, but the lack of money is the root of all evil, and what money can make people do. And that's the kind of the point, that I would try to get across with him is like, I'm going to give people money to do terrible things to people because, that's the way life is, right? Right off the bat, I can see a feud with him and Christian Warrior. There should be a scenario here where he goes up to Christian Warrior and he's going to try to pay him this money to renounce his faith. You take it from there. And Christian Warrior is not someone that could be bought. So I think that's the most likely scenario for Nate Barnes and Christian Warrior moving forward. Also, in his TT, he should put a kind of disclaimer that says, this television time was purchased by Nate Moneyman Barnes. Like, you don't want to get over the fact that he's legitimately the richest dude in the IWL, and you can even do a elaborate backstory about how he acquired this wealth. He could have won it playing dice out back. He could have gotten a hot streak playing dice behind a check cashing place and won all this money. It could be anything ridiculous like that about how he acquired this money. And I don't know if that's been flushed out in the NWL. It might have been already, but those are things to take a look at. Moving forward from that, you have someone like the Freak, who again is another recent draftee. To me, like right off the bat, I can see a scenario where he's feuding with Chameleon, and they can do a lot of, pseudo supernatural stuff. The Chameleon is, the master of disguise here. There's a lot of things you can go there. Jeremy's a great writer, and he will react to everything that you do. So a feud between the Freak and the Chameleon, I think that's money 100% all the way. Something that should be considered. And in terms of a team like Frankie Cicino and Nick Bloodtrap, obviously right off the bat, if you have a tag team in the IWL, you should be looking to go after the tag champs, which is Prince Ton and Jimmy Electric, the Three Birds. So that should be something that they're aiming towards. But on their way there, they can definitely go after the Chase brothers. They can go after Kenneth Oblivion and Christopher Destruction on their way to a possible tag run there, a tag team championship run. So those are things to consider. Now, you don't always have to do scenarios where I'm a bad guy, so I'm just going to beat the piss out of someone in a parking lot somewhere. That's been done to death. You want to take inspiration from everywhere here, and you want to get in these scenarios where as a heel, you're always in the driver's seat when it comes to feuds, right? Because usually you're the person that's setting everything into motion. But baby faces, on the other hand, can do scenarios like this where you see someone who's an awful, awful person, say Luther Alexander, for example, and you're a babyface. You can just talk about how awful Luther is for the shit he does. Go around and comment on what the heels are doing and say how much this is bullshit. It's a good way to, kind of catch fish with that large net.
Right.
In addition to that, I look at someone that maybe has some, maybe having a little bit of trouble coming up with, a character development or TT or a feud. You look at someone like Magnum TL, who is an IWL stalwart, right? He's been here for so long at this point, and to me, Magnum TL represents tradition, right? So right now, currently in the IWL, we're in our version of the Attitude Era, right? But we have this character Magnum TL, who is your penultimate babyface, at the same level as Senior Lucha. And he's someone that should represent tradition. And you see all these guys with all these wild characters and doing all this wild shit. And he should be the voice of reason and kind of trying to bring back the IWL to their roots. Now, we're looking at someone like Dixon Ticonderoga. We already got a plan in place for him and what he's going to do. Obviously, we know what we're doing with Lucha. We know what we're doing with Neo Dragon. We know what we're doing with Alexander J. Styles. So we already had that stuff kind of mapped out. But for me, like Luther has nothing much to do until Starrcade. So if it is me for this one. I want to feud with Bulk Brogan. I want to feud with Joe Boring. Those are guys that I want to feud with right off the bat. We have plans for what the Gentlemen's Club is doing moving forward there. But it's kind of taking the time out to kind of think outside the box about like who can I feud with and why. Who can I do something interesting with, and with the amount of talent we currently have in the IWL. We do have like the Regulators and Empire Chaos, right? They're great foils for anything you want to do with them. I think we have a plan for them as well moving forward about what they're going to do. We have the Teamster here. The Teamster is a fantastic character. He's hilarious. 1,000 things you can do with that. We have Barry Stevens, which we have a plan for moving forward. But doesn't mean just because we have a plan that we can't take a detour somewhere. So get involved. Read the TT. And most importantly, this is the most important thing that you can do in the IWL is read Fahrenheit 411. Read the recap. The recap is the most important piece of information in the IWL. So the IWL Blaze 411 is legitimately what sets us apart from everyone else. It is the most important thing. It's the reason why this league is currently successful. Is this recap? And Jeremy does a fantastic job. He is my personal MVP. He comes through cycle in and cycle out. Every 3 weeks he gets me these recaps. And for someone that obviously have to read the TT, I know what he has to recap. And what's great about Jeremy is not only does he just recap what happens, and he's not just regurgitating what happened in the trash talk. He's a fundamentally understanding about the characters' motivations, where they want to go, and what they are doing. And he does such an amazing job with that because not only does he recap, he understands what's going on. So even if sometimes if I have questions, I'm like, "Oh, what are we doing?" With like, "Oh, I'll ask Jeremy because he knows what's going on." Um, he comprehends what everyone is doing and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to get across. And he does a great job of, hey, maybe you didn't hit these points hard enough in your TT. Jeremy will pick up the slack for you there and really get those points across. So again, he is the MVP for me. Does such a great job with the recaps. And again, it's the most important thing. So if you're in the IWO, it's a must read. I don't care if you read anything else I do. So you look at the entire report. TT, I don't care. Read the Blaze 411. It's the most important thing. And if you're in another league and you're looking for some entertaining shit, read that report too. So if you're in the BRL, you're in the NWL, or you're outside the IWAR, and if you want to see what's going on in the IWL and read some interesting things that we do here, please read the Blaze because it's super important. Uh, but in terms of TT, Luke, what do you got?
I mean, I just read the Blaze. I don't even do the TT. No. So we're talking about TT. Alex J. Styles is on a run. He beat Ali Atari. That's a really big deal for his character trajectory. Ali Atari is and was up until pretty recently like the premier face good guy.
I've got.
Yeah, top guy. So for Alex J. Styles to beat him is huge for his character development. So that's awesome. I'm glad he won. And that's a little spoiler, but his TT leads into that. And he's constantly pointed out how he's beaten Atari over and over and over again. So that's good. Let's see. American Patriot. Everybody he fights runs away from him. I know Alex wanted to have Nate Moneyman Barnes question Christian Warrior's faith, but American Patriot is another one. Somebody
You
that
try
you
to
could
buy
try
the
to
flag
bribe.
from him.
Right, try to bribe, like see what you can do, like what he stands for, those kind of things. That's a neat little foil that you can do as well. But yeah, and he always does well. American Patriot needs somebody, just kind of like Luther Alexander does. So maybe that's we'll see what goes on there. And then um, we have, I mean, I don't know. The hardest thing to do in these is like pick people like to shout out, but I have to shout out to Ryan Patrick for what he did. Uh,
Amazing job.
yeah, and it's not anything complicated. It's good, and he even talks about Sasha. Like it's just very true to character. So I like it a lot, especially the Iron Cheek. Uh, Barbed Wire. The only reason I point this out, obviously, she's not in the league, but as a woman wrestler, and in basically any time, I think it's cool that she put her TT in here. She's challenging X3M, who was in the league, for this title. So putting that, even though she's not in the league, coming into the league and doing something like this, it's just a neat way to build up that feud. And that's doesn't always happen. And Dixon Ticonderoga continues his madness, essentially. Like he's definitely building towards something bigger. And to go off of what Alex said, like you can go through the Blaze, but you can look and see what people are doing and who they are. So you have to understand that, like, if you're going to think of the this as an actual league, people have different spots, right? So if you want to take Ryan Patrick's guy, the Regulators and the Empire Chaos, that's basically like if you took Evolution and the Shield and made them just kind of like one stable, right? That's what they do, right? That's who they are.
Right.
They aren't good guys, they aren't bad guys. But they can be either one, right? But then you have people like Omega Squadron and Aliatari and those people, and that are straight faces, and then you have people like Luther Alexander, and some of the other guys in Revolution Extreme that are just straight bad guys, right? But that's the thing. It's like if you're a guy, you're looking for a feud, and that's the thing. First of all, it's like if you're a champion, like if I like Neo Dragon or Johnny WrestleFest or the tag champions, the are they the Freebirds?
Freebirds.
They're not the Freebirds, right? They were the Freebirds.
We're going with Freebirds at this point.
Okay. So anyway, but there we don't really get to choose our opponents, right? Like I feud with whoever is the next challenger, right? That's determined by something that I really don't have any control over. And sometimes there's leeway here or there, but most of the time I don't really get a choice. But if it's not a title, I get to choose who I want to feud with. And I'm going to try to find somebody. Like Alex J. Styles is taking on Ali Atari to kind of like prove himself because he's a young lion, essentially, right? For lack of a better term. But now he's a heel and he's going after established face stock. So if I'm a face or somebody and I should be trying to go after an established heel like Luther or whoever, or you need to find the people like Alex said. Magnum TL represents the IWL. He's the institution. He's the whatever. It's hard to think of somebody that would be like the institution or whatever, but he's just a guy.
Like Flair in WCW, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, or Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes. He's a Bret Hart. He's just
right.
That guy.
Right. So you have to, but again, you want to keep doing this stuff. You always want to keep creative. And again, it's not like, championships are cool, but there's very clear ways to get to championships in the IWL. So it's not something where you really have to worry about trying to challenge somebody. The Grand Prix title, the Grand Prix champion is going to choose who they feud with. But other than that, like there's a clear pathway to get to the Pan Am title.
That's the easiest. All you got to do is politics for that one. If you talk about the Grand Prix champion in your TT, he's more likely to choose you as an opponent. It's real simple.
Yeah. So you have pretty clear-cut ways to get where you want to go if you want to start challenging for titles. But having a good feud, you need to try to have good feuds because that's what's going to keep you in the game. You're not always going to be able to challenge for titles. You're not always going to win titles, and titles are cool. But really, like the title is actually puts you kind of in a box, right? Whereas if I don't have a title, I can do whatever I want to do with somebody. And sometimes that can be even more exciting than what's going on in the title picture. So that's BRL. That's overall. But just be aware of that, especially guys coming into these leagues, since we talked about the BBL and the CWL. You have a great opportunity to come into a league and make a huge splash because you know who you want to feud with in the BRL or the IWL. You have a perfect segue to start a big feud, a big ordeal, and you're completely fresh. So you guys you need to try to find somebody it needs to be your foil and then go from there. Now, does it always work? No, sometimes people don't respond, whatever, but you at least have to try. And like Alex has said a million times, you can call 50 people out in your TT. Initially, you can just smack everybody down, right? Or whatever. You can
Flair used to do it. Flair can do it. You can do it too.
Yeah. So just be aware of that, and you gotta. It's just gonna keep the game exciting because I like, the Blaze is awesome, but if there's not a whole lot going on, I know what's going on with my wrestler. I don't, but I want to know what's going on with everybody else. That's what's exciting. So find who you want to be, like who your character is going to be, and then find someone to be your foil. There's plenty of people for it. And just go out there and do it. That's if you don't want to play the game, if you don't want to do story, you don't have to be in the IWO or the BRL. They're actually just going to get harder now. So unless you're really into it for some sort of challenge, or you just like getting screwed over by the IWA because you picked 12 because it in no way should have dropped. They're just.
First of all, number 9 is due. By the way,
Number 9. Number
Heard it here first, folks.
3 is going to hit, I'm sure. It's going to drop from 12. Anyway, but no, yeah. So just also, the backstabber I think is leaving with. So I wish him the best and wherever he goes.
I want to talk about that. I think that's
He's
important.
leaving.
I think that's important.
What?
Here's the deal. I want to be clear on particular situations.
You kicked him out.
I did not kick him out. Here's the deal. When it comes to the scenario, I dislike scenarios like this. It actually really bothers me. I don't understand. It has nothing to do with anything. I create, along with everyone else, this fictional world, this universe, right? That I'm essentially the dungeon master in D&D, right? So we created this alternate reality where all these things can happen, right? When you have someone like the backstabber who often plays in a bubble, and to me, when I read his TT in general, I think Jeremy can vouch for this as well. It's not a character. He's not in character. There's no character there. He's writing as himself, right? If you're gonna write as yourself, IWL is not the league for you. You're supposed to be in character. Now actually it's the backstabber, blah 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 blah, all this other stuff, right? When I read it, it's not anything. He's not talking about the other wrestlers. He's not trying to feud with anybody. I don't know what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? And that can be frustrating. Now we have, every league has maybe a guy or two like this. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. You're not doing anything. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're wasting your money. You might as well just throw it down a hole. I've tried to get him involved. I do all the same things that I do with everyone else in terms of, hey, I don't put him on the cover of this, or hey, I'm gonna take a jab at him and Weekly World News just to I'm prompting, right? I'm taking a cattle prod and I'm buzzing them. Zzz, 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 zzz. That's what I'm doing. Like, wake up. Like, hey, listen, you have to react to the world around you. Like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't understand it. And I don't think you're understanding what you're doing. And that's the problem. So, we can have a conversation. You can reach out to me and we can go through it. But to me, he's like, I don't know what you're whining about. You're whining, you're complaining, and you leave and you come back, but you leave is like, if you're gonna leave, stay gone. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need to. This is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure, right? I've done as much, as I can do for someone, and now I have a lot of pride in trying to get people involved and not literally saying get involved, right? I'm a little bit more subtle than that, but I don't understand what that is, and to be honest, I don't care. I don't read it. And from here on out, it's basically going to get ignored because it doesn't make any sense anyway. Like, if we're all moving in the same direction, and if someone who's not moving in the same direction, then that's a problem. Now, you either get on the bus or you stay off the bus. You can't be half on the bus and half not on the bus. So you need to pick what you want to do, and that's the reality of the situation. Now, in terms of another point I want to get into, that we have these events. Every pay-per-view has an event, a secondary event attached to it, right? It's IWL, the tournament league, right? It's been that way since its inception. So the next pay-per-view that we have upcoming, we have the Kumite, which is an actual Kumite, which is a no holds barred pseudo martial arts tournament. But you can be anything you want to be in this event, and I picked the competitors for it that I thought would match up nicely for this event. The winner of that will receive 10 free matches and a shot at the Pan American Championship. But guys, it's overall important. If you're in Soul Survivor, talk about Soul Survivor. If you're in the Kumite, talk about the Kumite. If you're in the Elite Eight, talk about the Elite Eight. If you're in the 4-pack challenge, talk about it. If you're in the Bunkhouse Stampede, talk about it. You know, if you're in these events, make it a point to talk about it, and you can build feuds off of this. If you get beat in the final of the Young Lions Cup, that could be a feud moving forward. And I make it very simple for you guys. You know what I mean? Don't overthink it, but talk about what's going on. We all live in this shared universe, and we all see the same things. So just make sure you're talking about it. It's super important. Those are just some tips. I'm trying to help you guys out. Trying to make you guys. Trying to inspire. This is what commissioners do. We're all moving in the same direction, and this is what we're doing. Yes, our next pay per view will take place in the Walmart parking lot because I find that hilarious. It's the reality of the situation. We do have an upcoming. I'm not talking out of turn here. We have an upcoming rebranding coming up in about 3 months. I plan everything out a year in advance. That's what I do. So I know where we're going. But just sit back, enjoy the ride, and and add and contribute. And that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for everyone to contribute, and the people who are contributing currently are doing a fantastic job. I'll give you a pro tip here and there. Be inspired. Watch wrestling. I'm not saying go out there and watch AEW or watch Impact or WWE, but for God's sakes, maybe watch some 1982 WWF. That's where I get my inspiration from. Inspiration can come from anywhere. It can come from a movie. It can come from a song. It can come from what you see outside. It can come from, life in general. What's going on? Just get inspired. Consume this media. And then, I do a lot of parody stuff. That's what I do. I find that amusing. But I like to use a lot of non-playable characters, so to speak. That's why Luther Alexander hangs out with O.J. Simpson for no reason. He's just there because it's O.J. Do stuff like that. Just consider doing that. And I think, once you get in the groove, and once you find it, you're gonna have so much more fun. All right, fantastic. Next up, New Wave League number 163, the league champion Wildfire Dan Van Love, TV champion Master Destroyer, Central Chains Plan champion Stevie Vertigo, East Coast champion Mannequin number 2, which is my favorite of the Mannequin series, the number 2. Great Lakes champion Yoko Tuna, Mid Atlantic champion Mr. 605, Northeast champion Stephanie Warren, Pacific Northwest champion Hillbilly Kevin, Rocky Mountain champion Spider Williams, Southeast champion Azil, Southwest champion Zydrate, West Coast champion Sven, the Finnish Destroyer Johnson, League Tag Team champions D Honda and Yoko Tuna, TV Tag Team champions Red Scorpion and the Black Scorpion, League Tag Team champions Chong V, D Honda and Yoko Tuna, TV Six-Man champions Hillbilly Kevin, Red Scorpion and the Black Scorpion. Battle Royal winner is Spider Williams. So Matt, what's going down in the NWL?
Oh my God, the actions! Wild and Woolly fans. Wow. That was a tip to the cap to one of the players. All right, so lots going on in the NWL. I would also like to say that it's important to let me know who to use for your avatar. And why do you say it's important? Because every issue we do, we show the current champion. Oh, here's who he is, here's what they did. And when we have a picture to go with, we can use that picture, even if it's one I create in the game, in the W2K19 game. Wildfire Dan Van Love, we don't have an image for. So who have I used? That's right, Wildfire Tommy Rich. The 40 years ago when he was actually hot, or what it was now, I guess, almost 50 years ago. Not the best look, but you know what? Dan Van Love has been Triple Crown winner. He's won Metro title this past cycle. Congrats to him. I just would love to have a better image to go with for him. And for all the Van Loves, they've really done a good job here. They won the Bad Company Tag Team Tournament last year. We'll talk about that in a minute. NWL-wise, I've shared with the rookies in the NWL locker room, which if you're listening to this and you're not in the NWL locker room via the Facebook Messenger, contact me. I'll get you in there. So the next Clash Champions 18's shaping up, and I will give a slight spoiler. We have on this card the Young Lions Championship matches. Contender, number one contenders, Flashy Jack Ferdinand, the champions, Yoko Tuna, and the winner of the Willowwick Classic, Stevie Vertigo, will mix it up in a triple threat match for that title. Now, the Hardcore Championship is a little more crazy. Flashy Jack Ferdinand, the champion, and his team of the Modern Models with Special Delivery U.S. Mail and the Mannequins, 1 and 2, take on the Hillbilly. I keep trying to call them Hillbillies Incorporated, but I don't know what they call themselves yet. But the Hillbillies Kevin, Hillbilly Steve, Uncle Randy, and Nick Legacy, as an old personal grudge gets settled. And the first pin wins the title. So if Nick Legacy pins Jack, he wins the belt. So whoever pins Jack first wins the belt. So keep that in mind. What I've done is change the layout kind of similar to BRL, where we have a number one contenders match. And I've taken 4 players who have done exceptional work with their promos, and that's Zydrate, Ace Fury, Lance Horowitz, and Adam Drake. Whoever wins that match will move on to Clash Champions 19 as the number one contender to challenge for the Young Lions Championship. Meanwhile, we have a ladder match. And in that ladder match is Gonna Get Scott, Emperor Sagawa, Dan Sovereign, Sven Johnson, Black Death, Nivik Largo, Leon Phoenix, Fighter X, Messiah, D Honda, Genesis, and I hope I'm saying this right, Asil. Anyways, whoever wins that will challenge the Hardcore Championship next. And of course, we have a grudge match between Spider Williams and U.S. Mail. This format will be what we use going forward. It's an easy plug and play system. If you're active and you promo, you're going to get somewhere on the show. And we'll go from there. So if your player is graduating soon and want to contact me, let me know where you might want to go. I can plan around that. Reminder, the winners of the title matches, so whoever wins the hardcore match gets the pin. Whoever wins the triple threat match for the Young Lions title, whoever wins the number one contenders match, whoever wins the ladders match, each of them win 5 free matches for the NWL the following cycle. So that's coming up soon. More on that later. Lots of good feuds going on, and I'm happy to see people, getting, mad at each other. Luke, do you want to throw out your thoughts on the promos?
I do.
Nice.
That's good, huh? All right. So start with Vertigo and Lance Horowitz. They are
He's Barry's brother?
yes.
Son.
Is it?
Absolutely not kidding. That's actually the gimmick.
I love it. I want him.
And he's jacked.
IWL for you, my friend.
He is. He's huge.
Oh, I got so many ideas already.
Next we have Messiah. I like his little blurb in here. So let's see. And then oh man.
Did you even read this?
Yeah, he went after Zydrate. Sorry, I lost my place.
Calling out the dude, man.
It's like I lost my I had it and then I slipped and gone. All right.
Sounds like my wedding night.
Oh, Messiah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, Messiah calling out Zydrate after Clash of Champions. Then we have Spider Williams. Let's see, calling out Fashion Jack and all that went down with that. If you've been following, we have the Hillbillies and Uncle Randy. And then we have the Adam Drake. Yes, he won the Pacific Northwest Championship back. Or when did he win it? This last cycle, I'm assuming.
Last cycle, yeah, he's lost it.
Yeah. And he's trying to go after 8 Fury. We have the Studs and Duds with Steve Vertigo and Lance Horowitz, where they kind of come together. I think this probably should have been placed in front of the other one, but whatever. And Queen Kyla Stevens. So that's definitely entertaining a little bit there. Let's see. And then we have Yoko Tuna, the current champ. He's talking about the Hillbillies as well. And we go into Flashy Jack, who's the current hardcore champion. And then we go back into Zydrate and Largo, talking about the modern models. So there's a lot going on. A lot of it seems like we have a pretty good core group of people in the NWL that are all kind of floating, orbiting around each other, and that's good to have. It's good to see this new class of guys step up as the other classes. They're all pretty much gone now, so it's good to see them step up, and they're doing a lot of good TT. I mean, there's a lot of quality in there, so that's really awesome, and continue to keep up the good work. So that's all I got.
Well,
Yeah,
I will
man.
say, it is very good to see the people step up the promos. I will say I enjoyed the poor, tragic condition of Jimmy, the fan of Dan the Beast Sovereign, I'm saying it right, getting brutalized by U.S. mail. Terrible. I always enjoy when people hate certain places. People always ask for a return of Billy Jack Novak, the rapping wrestler. Might have to get him back in some form or fashion in the league. But yeah, I'm
No,
really happy to
no,
see the work.
I Neo Dragon will kill him if he comes back because he beat me in some fucking tournament or something. Like I don't know how, I don't remember what it was, but he just he beat me, and I like missed out on like the championship or something
I
because
remember that.
Billy
Oh
Jack
my
Novak.
god, you're so mad.
Oh, Billy Jack Novak. Yes. Anyways, I do want to
Cause
mention that.
why? Cause I'm fly.
Uh, why? Because I'm fly. Uh,
He was
uh,
so awful.
he was one of my favorite characters ever created. Um, Willie Pinham, the referee, senior official of the IWAR, he offers some help, and players have asked me all the time, like, do you have any help? And I include this page in the bulletin. Give it a look. I lay out a sample strategy. Do you know if you would use that sample strategy last cycle, you would have had a 493 or better? Well, just saying, it's something to try. It's simple layout. Give it a look. Consider some of your options. Of course, you can join me tomorrow night for the workshop or whenever we record this. I guess I'll be doing the workshop tomorrow night. This will roll into some IWAR wide stuff. Might as well go into that, right? Um,
Yeah. So
well,
Matt, what do you
first,
got for us? IWAR wide.
well, here we go. First of all, I've asked people to give me submissions for things like the Veteran Voice, which is a little article that has veteran players kind of talking about how they discovered that away as kids or when they first discovered it, how it's been for them, and it's a fun little half-page article. So I want to thank Dwayne, who manages Fiction and NazX and Black Prince and This Truth, who wrote a fantastic column for it. So if you want to get involved in that, please let me know. I want to keep it in NWL areas. The Bad Company Cup Tag Team Tournament. The
You
first
getting a
round,
tournament after those guys?
he sure did.
What a dick.
Dick move, bro. Yeah, that's me. And fun fact, if you click the Bad Company tournament, like the blue hyperlink on the page,
Goes
it'll
right to
take
Pornhub.
it take no it blacked. It takes you to the IWA retirement page of Bad Company, the one that pissed off all the players. So you can read that and have fun with that. But for the players currently combating this tournament, Chong V and D Honda advanced. Spider Williams and Adam Drake advanced. They'll now face off with Honda and V. We have the Scorpions facing off with the Mannequins in round two. We'll have Hillbilly Steve and Uncle Randy who got some revenge on U.S. Mail and Jack Ferdinand. And they'll face Revelation and Genesis. We have Sven Johnson and Ivan Scheitzer advancing to face Sister Abigail and Black Death. So good luck to everyone who's advanced. This will be over before you know it. So good luck to everyone. Now, the All Rookie Cup is set up in a Survivor format. So we have we had 20 people in it, and the top 10 advance. So the people advancing: number 10, U.S. Male; number 9, Zydrate; 8, Yoko Tuna; 7, Hillbilly Kevin; 6, Spider Williams; 5, Jack Ferdinand; 4, Impact Player Leon Phoenix; 3, Stevie Vertigo; 2, Sven Finish Destroyer Johnson; and number 1, Wildfire Dan Van Love. Now, while those scores, ranging 499 to 493, were the top half, going forward, only the top 5 advance. So whoever scores the top 5 out of that 10 mix will advance to the next round. So good luck to everyone there. I mentioned earlier the Murano and the Johnny B Cup. Just so you're aware, I have laid out the brackets. It took a while to do. I didn't do the old way. I did it more based on kind of, mixing up the interleague stuff. I had a few rivalry matches, so like Atari takes on Alexander J. Styles. Um, other matches here and there like that. Jax McAllister versus Ghostly Shadows. So just kind of make it a little more fun. Don't worry if you're transferring in your league, as long as you're in the IWAR, or if I know where your wrestler is and I can get the score. But if you keep in the IWAR, I know where you are, that'll help a lot. Those tournaments start this coming Tuesday, so make sure your best strategy possible, and good luck to everyone except for those facing me. Summer events, we have Lethal Lottery. Now, people have asked about Lethal Lottery still going on. Yes, it will. Lethal Lottery is $1 per wrestler, but players can only enter one wrestler. All the wrestlers go into a hat. The teams get paired up randomly, and they're partners. So it's going to be a real shootout. Now, this isn't the thing where you can flow your strat. It's based on the two wrestlers' strategies totals added together. So if you're in the NWL and your partner's in the IWL, don't worry about teaming to get scores. It's your tag team score individually added up together. So that's how it works. Summer Series 4 will be coming this summer, and that is the grueling event with based on highest average for 4 cycles, and it gets more complicated than that. I'm just giving the brief overview. We also have coming this summer the Name That Jobber competition, and what we'll do is get people to offer up their best jobber names for this contest, and what will happen is the best vote getting or highest vote getters will become the new jobbers in the BRL, IWL, and NWL. I already had one person tell me their submission is Captain Lou Albino. I like that name already. We have Battle of the IWAR Network Stars, or the Team Challenge Series. That's still in the works, but that's coming this summer. And then, of course, in the fall, we have the IWAR Draft, the Triple D Cup Trios Tournament, number 12, 14th Tag Team Derby, and the 9th Bound for Glory Series. So all that and more in the IWAR this year. So if you're debating if you want to stay or not, if it's worth, we have a lot going on to keep you entertained besides just the league paper. So there's that.
All right, man. I dig that. All right, so we are officially out of time. So for Luke Martin, for Matt Riley, I'm Alex G. Have a good night.